Hello everyone. As we saw in the part 1 the basics of the economic system, now we will just see in the detail these types of economic system: capitalism, socialism and mixed economy. First, I will just clear you the concept about capital and capitalism. You would be feeling that capital and capitalism both are same, but no, it is different. Capital is actually a man-made factor used in the production, and it is used in such a way that it generates maximum output. While capitalism is a system in which ownership of capital is private and totally in the hands of an individual. So it is called as capitalism. Right? And here capital actually indicates all man-made factors. Now we will just clear with the concept or characteristics of capitalism. The first one is private property. As I told you that capitalism is totally a private owned ownership type, right? So it is a private property and total fully right is given to the ownership of the wealth, right? And here right is actually given to the next generation also. Like if any property is there with you, you can just pass it on to your next generation. So fully owned it is. For example, it includes like physical property, gold, silver or building, factories, so patent right, these all are as a non-physical capital, but we can transfer it. Now, a capitalist economy is a free enterprise economy and one in which there is a fully freedom in a private ownership. Now, second point we will discuss about freedom of choice. Here in the capitalism, the owner of the capital has a right to make use of the factor of production. As you all know that, okay, which four factors of productions are there: land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. So we are free to choose it, right? Here fully freedom is there, free competition is there, free combination is there in the capitalism, and free cooperating also is there in the capitalism. Only the limitation of being is here that capacity and the efficiency of the resources available in the economy. So it is like freedom of choice. As the borrower or the lenders, employers or the employees, or the sellers or the buyers, it is open for them to decide that how would they behave about a particular situation in a particular economy system. So it is like a freedom of choice. Third one is profit motive. Here the decision regarding the use of the factor depends on the basis of the profit. It is a natural. For example, like if you are having an ownership, like if you are purchasing a land, right, you will also compare and you will see that from where I will just get the maximum profit, right? So the profit is always at the center in the capitalist structure, and also the owners of the means of the production enter only when there is an maximum profit, right? So here profit structure always sees that where profit is more. So the freedom and the profit motive helps the entrepreneur to go for the new production technique, new resource mobilization, etc. Fourth one is market mechanism. Here decision regarding use of factor is done by the market, and that is why it is defined as a market economy. Here there are unlimited buyers and sellers but take an independent decision. The planning or the government does not interfere into the matter. You all know that it is in capitalism there is no interference of the government. So totally independent decisions are taken as according to the market mechanism. Fifth one, supremacy of consumer. Here in the capitalist structure, consumer is at the center. So he decides what to have and what not to have. His demand decides the production structure. Profit is also decided on that basis. So here consumer is actually being taken as in the center. Freedom to use the capital implies the freedom to earn the incomes. So freedom extends not only to the owners of the property but also to the workers. So here also the individual enjoys the liberty. He may save or spend or may even spend more than he earns during any given period of time. So here the decisions in the anticipation of the consumer's demand, their actions must be ultimately be synchronized within the decisions of the consumers. So it is about the supremacy of the consumer. In this type of structure, actually rich customers are being kept at the center rather than the poor consumers or the customers. So here the consumer is the king of the market. Now the sixth point, that is competitive market. Competitive market is actually the main and vital characteristics of the capitalism. It is the base of the capitalism. Here the main objective is that of the individual private property, profitability, etc. are decided on the basis of the competition. मार्केट में जैसी भी कंपटीशन होगी उसके हिसाब से हम डिसाइड करेंगे कि प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी कैसी है, प्रॉपर्टी कैसी है, राइट. कंपटीशन होगी उसके बेसिस पे रहेगा ये सारी चीज़ें. सो ईच प्रोडक्ट रिफर्स टू सेल मोर टू गेट मोर प्रॉफिट. सो दिस इज अबाउट द कॉम्पिटिटिव मार्केट. सेवेंथ वन, रूल ऑफ द प्राइस mechanism. Under capitalism, it is the price mechanism that decides the level of the consumption, production and distribution. So here, when goods and how much of goods will be produced will depend on the price mechanism. Thus, the whole economic system evolves around the price mechanism. Eighth one, integration of public versus private interest. Here, the group of person is defining as a public or society. Each one behaves for its own interest. It is true that production of wine and other harmful things may affect the interest and the welfare of the people. Now, ninth one, decision about saving investment. Here, decision about saving investment is taken independently. In capitalism, you all know that it's totally independent. You do not have to think about it. There is no government interference, right? But what you have to think is where to save and where to invest. Hereditary system, as we discussed earlier, that we can transfer it to the next generation, our private property, patent, etc. right? So this is the right actually being given to the future generation. That is about hereditary system. Now, prevalence of the two classes. In the capitalist system, it is broadly classified into the two classes, that is capitalist and the working class. So here, formerly owners of the name and the means of the production, and while the latter's sole source of income is the labor. About the prevalence of two classes. Limited role of market. Here in the entire system, role of market is very passive, but the basic role of state is only to provide the law and order and internal external defense. So these are the basic characteristics of the capitalism. I would also like to share with you that the top first capitalist country is Hong Kong. Socialism. Socialism is actually for the welfare of the society. So society is kept at the center. It is a flexible concept. As according to the H.D. Dickinson, socialism is such a type system where the ownership of the factors are with society and its organization is done by the public representatives and unions. The fruits are of the entire society. See how here in socialism fully it is like depends on the government to do better for the society. So welfare of the society is kept at the center in the socialism. Now just we will move towards the characteristics of socialism. First one is collective ownership. Collective ownership is like in a collective structure, the ownership of the society, land, building, machinery, etc. is owned by the society and not by the individual. Like suppose for example public garden. Like you are going in the public garden, it is not like that any individual is holding that ownership of the garden, but it is for the whole society. So it is what about socialism. It is known as a collective system. The next example, suppose here the farmer can have a small piece of land for his personal use on which he can produce fruits, vegetables and sell it in the market. He cannot sell any piece of land in the market, right? So thus here small residence, trade, etc. can be in the form of a private property, but it is like in the for the given by the government. Second one, absence of competition. Here there is totally absence of competition. No competition exists in the socialism. There is no necessary to have a competition in the socialism. The sector has to produce only on the basis of the targets being decided by the government. Government actually decides the target that this should be given facility to the society. So it is like there is no such type of competition. Economic equalities. Here the welfare is more important than the profit motive. That is why equality is maintained. How you can maintain equality? Due to that only, because there is nothing like profitability, there is nothing like competition in the middle. It is all about collective ownership, right? So here everybody gets the income on the basis of their efficiency and necessity. Fourth one is economic planning. In this system, the ownership of the factor is with the government. Here the planning actually aggregates the level, decides what, where, when, how much to produce and whom and when to distribute, right? So here it is being decided on the basis of the requirement of the sectors. Fifth one is equal social structure. The purpose of the socialism here is to give an equal social structure with the principle of equality, absence of exploitation, self-sufficiency, etc. So for that reason only the equal social structure can be maintained. Sixth one is price determination. Here price mechanism is actually not allowed to operate the determination of investment, production, employment, saving investment, distribution in the market structure. But here price is actually being determined by the basis of the planning commission. Here prices are administered prices. It is decided on the basis of the trial and error. 7. Absence of unemployment inflation. So here in the socialistic pattern, actually it leads to an equal distribution of the income and wealth, right? So here price remains stable and within the limits, which actually prevents inflation and unemployment of the economy. Very simple? Yes. So 8th point, equal distribution. Equal distribution is like all wealth is created through the labor and owner of all the wealth is labor. So here the basic concept is of socialism. That is why in socialism more importance is given to the labor in the allocation of the wealth. Here income, interest rate, etc. actually are not taken into the consideration. If it is considered, then that amount will be given according to the government account. So there is no private asset in the socialism. 9. Incentives and orders. There is no element of profit in the socialism, but incentives and orders are used as a motivational force to the activity of the people. So here laborer has to work in the group in a factory to work more efficiently, and here bonus is also being given to them. So here a person who works against the production targets gets punishment, and if it will be put to a lower level of job. So this is all about incentive and orders. 10th one, there is no classes. When the property is socialized and no property is privately owned, so there remains no classes of employees and no separate classes of workers. Right? So there is nothing like that in the socialism. There are different layers of society in the form of unskilled workers, skilled workers, managers, teachers, etc. But here the society is being divided into various function strata. There does not exist a completely classless society. Yes, second last point. Maximum social advantage. Here actually the state determines the commodity to be produced and the technique of the production. This is done on the basis of the certain arbitrary standards, taking into consideration the use and the proper allocation of the goods and services for the maximum social advantage. Last point, there is no exploitation. Yes, in the government you all know that you are also trying to prepare for the exam and trying to search the government job. Why? Because there is no exploitation over there, right? So here under socialism, since state is the employer, there is no exploitation of the workers. Quantity and quality of work is done. He who produces more gets higher wages and vice versa. And the second basis is that needs of the worker. For example, minimum wage rate is fixed, which must be adequate to provide the basic requirements of the workers. Now here I would like to share some information with you that Cuba is an example of a socialist nation. Its economy is a state run and its lack in the stock exchange. Here healthcare and education are all completely managed and administered by the government. Second, the country of North Korea, it is also a socialist state, right? But here stock exchange is lacking, stock exchange nahi hota hai. Supporting many social programs and economy is a state run. Vietnam's economy is largely state run and can therefore be considered to be the following socialist policies. China has an elements of socialism that actually remain despite having an eliminated socialized healthcare. This economy is still state run. Now we will just start with mixed economy. Mixed economy is a combination of both capitalist and socialist. It is a mixed economy, right? So mixed economy is that kind of system which is neither fully controlled nor fully freedom provided. Mixed economy is that kind of system where public sector is provided with a certain responsibilities that act considering the interest of the society. Now we will just go with the characteristics of mixed economy. The first one is coexistence of public and private sector. As we just saw that what actually the concept of mixed economy is. Government is included and private is also there, right? So it is a coexistence of public and private. Market play a vital role. Here actually market does not play a free role here like capitalism. Here the floor of prices are being determined by for the agricultural product to protect the interest of the farmers, and the top prices are also decided to protect the interest of the customers, especially for the medicines, fertilizers, etc. So here the interest of the poor people is also protected by the price shock and other policies of the public sector, right? So this is about market plays a vital role. Role of distribution. In the mixed economy, the protection of poor people is being given more weightage, which is called public welfare. So here it is necessary to decide the wage rate, working hours and employment opportunities to the workers, and especially the poor section of the society is given a more to reducing the regional imbalance. Profit motive, social interest. Here in the mixed economy considers the role of the profit to have a quick economic development, but on the other hand customers' interest, public sector produces a certain goods of the public interest to sell it at a low price. Here for example fertilizers, electricity, etc. are the concept of the social interest which is being taken into consideration. Fifth one, economic planning. Economic planning which actually takes the distribution of industries and the industrial units. Here the public sector units operations, private sector, joint sector, private sector which continues with the operations but the new units with the public sector. Role of the government. Here in the mixed economy, government plays a vital role. Here the constant watch is there on the public and the private sector is necessary. Why? Because public is watching continuously, na? So private sector is also necessary here in order to reduce the exploitation of the coal miners and the channelize the credit flows of the commercial bank. Nationalization is adapted. So here the public sector shares are placed in a market. The healthy competition between the private and the public sector is encouraged. Last point, cooperative societies. In the mixed economy, cooperative societies also plays an important role. For example, in the case of dairy, credit purchase and the sales of the cooperative societies played a significant role. So technically it is not the part of characteristics of mixed economy, but it is considered over here. So cooperative about societies.